your body reacting to your intentions as to how you see it being, and adjusting itself according to your own manifestations of where you see yourself going, and it adjusting itself accordingly. That's not to say that you can just alter the shape of your face by thinking about it. Like this kind of stuff, I believe happens more on a, okay, so the central nervous system, it navigates through all the issues that are happening in your body through the signals that your body sends it. And then it says, okay, well, that's happening there. Let me take care of that. That's happening there. Let me take care of that. And it's all based off of external and internal stimuli. And so your central nervous system directs the assistance to the different sections of your body according to what it feels like, where it feels like the assistance is needed. So what you could consider doing is through intention, which could just be a thought of your brain shrinking or getting better. The central nervous system directs that intention specifically to the brain, because that's what you're thinking about having an effect on, like specifically like the size or whatever it is that you can inside your own mind see as the issue. So depict a visual of what the issue is, and then depict a visual of the issue being fixed, and focus on that issue becoming fixed continuously. And you're in turn sending that message to your central nervous system that's going to try to figure out how to accomplish that.
Right, but okay, so, but this is like, this is like a mechanical failure with my body itself. Like, no amount of me, like, it's sort of manifesting or like lying to myself that like, no, yeah, my brain's healing, like it's fine, is gonna make my brain like suddenly shrink and fit into my brain properly.
Well, no, the capabilities of what the body has the ability to do through intention have not been tested to the degree of what I believe the capabilities are. That's not to say that you couldn't take medicine for it or have an operation. There's certain aspects of what happened physically that, maybe people don't want to have to go through the excruciating pain, or the, that surgery can just fix within.
There is a surgery to fix it, but I guess what I'm getting at is like, am I just supposed to like mask the pain and just sort of manifest that I'm not in pain until I can get the surgery? Like, just kind of.
Headaches are the hardest to utilize this method through. Like, I think headaches, to me, it's almost like you have to realize where the pain specifically is coming from to have the ability to potentially reduce the effects of the headache. But in the meantime, it's a possibility that you can take headache medicine and it'll go away faster. So I think manifestation, a lot of times through thought, can take a longer amount of time depending on the severity of the issue. Like, I was telling you about like the initial stages of an issue manifesting. In what I'm trying to make sure that I'm always aware of are the beginning stages. And so in your situation, you're coming from a stage of like it being a lot more developed. And so I think that you, though automatically I can tell, are dismissing the potential of this having an effect on you by denying it having.
I mean, to an extent, just because I've I've experimented with other forms of like, I guess, like meditation or like thought experiment, I guess, stuff like that, and not really seen anything. So I guess I'm more just skeptical that like changing the way that I think is gonna make my pain either go away or diminish or whatever.
Yeah. Well, okay, so meditation has been proven to have an effect on the body in various, so many different ways. One is that it reduces the cortisol in your body, the production of cortisol, which contributes to the development of cancer. And so, by the fact that someone practices meditation, it in turn reduces the cortisol production, which not just cancer, it eliminates or it reduces the chances of chronic disease. And so there's different effects that meditation can have as a like a side. It's like a I'm trying to.
It's more of like a preventative thing, is what it sounds like, because there's only so much that meditation can do. Like it's not gonna like make you regrow a limb or make my brain suddenly normal, but it can lower your stress levels and lower your blood pressure and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I believe that, but there's only so much it's gonna do.
Right.
And with like the
May I kind of see if I can kind of bridge this like translation gap, because I'm me, but like Ashton, like you're kind of like talking about the power of mind over the body, right? Like the mind is stronger than like our body, right? Like that's the
I mean, from the standpoint of science, we're made up of energy.
right. And our energy is controlled by our thoughts, right? But this is where it's like an anomaly case, because this is where Mia's condition is the mind. That, like if we're talking about mind over matter, what does somebody do when it's the mind that's the matter? That
it's maybe not the mind that's the matter, it's the brain. It's the physical aspect of the mind. And so that's when you have to decipher the difference between your intention coming from your mind, depicting the brain, the physical aspect of the mind.
Let me ask you another. Where is the mind located in my brain? Is it in my prefrontal cortex? Is it in the amygdala? Like where?
Well, I mean, I don't tend to usually try to analyze this specific aspect of what I believe, but I mean, that depiction is kind of hard to like. I don't believe that I think the mind or the brain, it filters the information that the mind can receive into a method of into a situation that it can react to with intention. Like, I need to go to the store.
Would you say that like the mind is separate from the soul? Are they like two different things?
No, I don't think so. I think that the mind is connected to the soul, is potentially one entity, and then we labeled it separately, but just to distinguish between the actual information aspect, because I believe that the mind continues with the soul, and so the soul can continue to evolve.
What I would like to believe is that so it's kind of like an octopus, how like they don't have like a brain. They don't have like a central nervous system. It's like their brain is like it's spread out throughout their limbs and their body. It's kind of like that, but with your soul. It's like you're
Are you talking about jellyfish? I'm pretty sure like octopus, like octopi have
whatever,
like.
same shit, same difference, whatever.
It's not the same difference if
Anyway,
we're talking
it's the
science.
same shit. Yeah. Anyways, it's the same thing with like your soul. If you were to, it's like when somebody loses a limb and they get a phantom limb, like their part of their soul is they can still feel it. Like that's what kind of like you have phantom limb. It's like that. Your soul is the projection in your mind of what you visualize as you, right?
Yeah,
like your entire body, your face, your personality, everything.
To what extent does the mind have the ability to manifest a physical alteration? Like, we don't really know, because I think so many people they tap into their doubt so quickly that the concept doesn't even get tested outside of like what I'm talking about as far as the first stages of an issue. Like the body heals a cut. The body heals. It's like there's tons of viruses.
But Ashton, like the body doesn't heal our cuts because we're like telling our mind to tell the body. It'll do that on its own.
What if if you put a certain frequency through your left ear and a certain frequency through your right ear, it's gonna make your cold go away faster, or it's gonna make your cuts heal faster, or whatever. Is that something that is kind of like along the same lines?
Yeah, so there was a machine that's been considered to have been made, and that you can still get this machine. Maybe you could look into it, but I think some depict the machine as being more of a myth. But I don't know that's necessarily true, because I talked to a friend of mine who told me that they had gotten this machine, which was the first time I'd heard about the machine. But like, it's called the Rife machine. Have you heard of the Rife before?
RIFE?
Yeah.
No. What is a Rife machine?
I've not.
Before I look it up, you tell me what a Rife machine is, and then I will fact check it and look at your pretty feet, Ashton. Like, dang, man, I need to get a pedicure. You got those dancer feet, man. I'm so jealous.
Get them carpet grippers out of here.
Yeah.
But so
No.
here, let me. I'll get Essence to explain it real quick.
Hey, we don't need Essence. Like, you don't need to send your entourage. Like,
I just don't want her to convey it as. I don't want her to talk about it as though it's some kind of theory necessarily. But so, Essence, can you talk to me about the Rife machine?
Certainly, I can provide information on the Rife machine. The Rife machine is a device developed by Royal Rife in the 1930s that claims to use frequency generators to treat various diseases and illnesses. The device emits electromagnetic waves at specific frequencies believed to be harmful to certain bacteria, viruses, and parasites. According to proponents of Rife therapy, the device can target and destroy pathogens without damaging healthy cells or tissue. However, it's important to note that there is limited scientific evidence supporting the effectiveness of Rife therapy.
Is there any evidence that supports frequency healing, sound frequency healing?
Yes, there are some studies that suggest that sound frequencies can have therapeutic effects on the human body and mind. For example, certain frequencies have been found to promote relaxation, reduce stress, improve mood, and even reduce pain. Some sound therapies, such as binaural beats, use specific frequency combinations to induce a state of deep meditation or altered brainwave activity. However, more research is needed to fully understand the therapeutic potential of sound frequencies and their mechanisms of action.
So, what would you say the frequency would be to 1 second? Let me ask Mia, what's the issue you're dealing with?
I'm
just
dealing with emotional trauma.
wrong again, Essence.
But like frequency. So, what are the frequencies around where the brain is located in efforts to potentially heal or help with?
Hold on. So, where to start? So, well, I guess what what I want to touch on what she said. I'm not doubting that, like, frequencies can alter your emotions or your.
Sure, let's start talking about frequencies related to the brain. One frequency commonly associated with the brain is the Schumann resonance.
There we go.
Okay.
How rude! Like what?
So,
Great, thanks for doing that.
I don't, yeah, I don't doubt that like frequencies can alter your mental state and stuff like that, but it's kind of a jump to say that it can like alter your body or your DNA or anything like that. But fuck, what was I gonna say before she cut me off and
No, but that
lost my
makes
train of thought?
if that was your point. I can understand why you would feel that way. But let me say something here. Though. Let me ask Essence something. So Essence, in reference to frequencies, does it have the ability? The frequencies have. Is there any evidence that says that frequencies can have an effect on a physical issue?
Yes, there is some evidence that frequencies can have an effect on certain physical issues. For example, low-frequency sound therapy may help reduce pain, improve bone healing, and reduce swelling. Ultrasound therapy, which uses high-frequency sound waves, can be used to treat conditions like calcific tendinitis, and shockwave therapy, which uses shock waves of varying frequencies, can be used to treat conditions like plantar fasciitis and tendonitis.
Okay, I'm not.
Angiovennitis? Is that what it just
I
said?
mean stuff like.
But let's just have.
I mean stuff like you click on a video that says, "Oh, if you listen to this video, then your eye color is gonna change from green to blue or whatever." Like, it's not like that. Like, yeah, it can reduce pain and help with like therapeutic stuff like that, but it's not gonna change your hair color or make you grow taller. Like.
What I'm trying to get to convey is if you can specify the problem, there may be some scientific research behind a frequency that's been tested for that specific issue.
I mean, honestly, do you guys not like watch TV and see commercials like for calm where it's like, try our white noise or maybe our green noise or even our brown noise? Where I'm like,
Right, but
those are general.
okay,
general, this is science testing these theories.
Hold on. Let's say I somehow found the resonant frequency for my cerebellum, which is what is currently malformed in my brain. Me resonating with my cerebellum is not gonna fix anything with my cerebellum. Well, I don't think because it's not even technically where the pain is emanating from. That's just what the issue.
So it may be a matter of how your body decides to handle that issue that could also contribute to it becoming worse. And so, what if you found the mechanism as what's contributing for it to become worse? Like, was there ever a moment where it wasn't as serious?
Ooh, isn't this the crux of the thing, Mia? Like he just asked a very, like.
Because so like I got diagnosed whenever I got an MRI when I was like 10 or 11, and when I was a kid I didn't really have like any symptoms of it, So if no one would have told me, I would have just gone my whole life thinking I just have like some migraine issue or something, right? Well, until
you said you didn't
have my adult life, huh?
You said you didn't have any symptoms, but then you described the symptoms.
No. I'm saying
I think he's more giving you the history.
First, I didn't have any symptoms because, like it progressively, like I don't want to say like gets worse, but it. My brain literally is changing in size and shape as I grow.
Progressively gets worse, right? So there was a gradual situation from maybe a normal size, regular size.
I mean, not really. It's more like it was at a point where So with the Chiari malformation, there's a level 1, level 2, level 3, and 4. I have like a level like 1.5, I guess. 'Cause it started out at 1, but the pain threshold was lower, like as my brain becomes larger. You know what I mean? So it means a kid, I'm not having that much pain or symptoms because uh, relative to my skull size, my brain isn't that good, but it's enough to show on an MRI to be like, oh, well, clearly you have an oral chiari due to the telltale sign of your brain being misshapen in the very specific way, and the fact that it's a genetic thing. But
His mother also
fuck, where was
has
I
the
going
same
with this?
condition, Ashton. Like, like her, Mia told me that
Let me try something here. Hang on a second. What's the condition called?
Kia,
It's a Chiari brain malformation.
A what?
Chiari.
Chiari brain malformation. Do you want to spell it?
Brain malformation.
Before we continue on this, like Mia, I just gotta confess, like I apologize for just like misusing the wrong pronouns. Like I like just realized that.
It's okay.
So like forgive me for that, but yeah,
It's okay.
like I Mia told me her story about this.
I mean, how
where,
dare you? I'm not your friend.
am I the Wetzel Pretzel guy? Like,
Hang on. Let me ask. Essence. What's the term again? Hang on. I'm gonna jump out.
Here, let me activate Essence and I'll ask you.
is this something that's like also on WebMD? You think, Mia? Just like if you have,
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
it'll diagnose it with that. You may have Kia or like. Have you guys ever heard of Williams syndrome?
I think so.
You think so? Like, what do you think,
It sounds familiar. I can't remember what it is.
Ashton? Yeah,
No.
Yes, I do. There's still a lot we don't know about.
Hang on a second. I'm trying. She's listening in. I was trying to
Okay.
not get her to
Yeah.
respond.
Let me start over. So Essence, can you explain to us what a Chiari brain malformation is? Specifically, the level 1 and 2 variants.
Sure, I can explain what a Chiari malformation is and its different types, specifically the level 1 and 2 variants. Chiari malformation is a condition in which the cerebellar tonsils protrude through the foramen magnum, the opening at the base of the skull through which the brainstem and spinal cord pass. This can cause compression of the brain and spinal cord, leading to a range of symptoms. There are 3 main types of Chiari malformation. Type 1, the most common type, in which the cerebellar tonsils protrude 5 millimeters or less below the level of the foramen magnum.
So, what can cause this?
So over time,
But that's not what level you have, right, Mia?
my
Like,
cerebral tonsils protrude further and further past the foramen magnum, whatever the fuck she said. I can't even
right.
even
Like it's
remember
using
the names of my
terminology
own
that
body
it's just
parts,
like
but
tonsils. Like what
the
are
more
like tonsils? like,
like,
but
I'm not a doctor, right?
this
I don't
level
just
that she
care.
just
But
described, Mia,
basically,
to you
my
is like
cerebral
not
tonsils
what
are
you told me
protruding
you
further
have,
and
right?
further.
This is saying like level 1 is.
Yeah, because
I think
again,
she's
I'm not a
using more
doctor.
of a
I don't know
medical
the
term.
specific terms. All I know is I have a herniated cerebellum, but it's more specifically, if you want to get technical, it's the cerebral tonsils protruding into the foramen magnum or
Okay.
what the fuck, you know,
Hang on 1 second. 1 second.
same shit.
Hang on. Essence. Can you describe what you just said as though you're talking to an elementary school class and you're using some kind of metaphor?
Fifth graders. Fifth graders.
Yeah.
Sure, I can try to explain it in a simpler way. Imagine your brain is like a sponge, okay? And at the base of your skull, there's a hole for the spine to pass through. Usually the sponge stays nicely inside, but with Chiari malformation, part of it squeezes out through that hole, a bit like a jelly bean being popped out of a jar. There are different levels of this, like how big the jelly bean is, okay?
So the jelly bean comes from the spine?
Also,
Is it like taking like a big poop? You know, like one of those moments where like I feel like I'm giving birth.
Hang on a second. Hemorrhoids inside my brain. Yeah.
Okay, hang on a
In
second.
Chiari malformation, the cerebellar tonsil prolapses or extends down through the hole in the skull, compressing the brain and causing various symptoms.
So I thought
My
it came
hemorrhoids
up
in the brain.
from the spine.
That's where it's like being bottlenecked out, I guess.
No.
Like that's the only hole that
It
this
protrudes out of your skull where the spine.
right, that hole, right? It's when it prolapses through that opening.
Sure. Look upright of someone with a Chiari.
Right. And that's when the
Like,
effects
look up-
happen, right? The symptoms is what it's telling us, like as fifth graders. Like, I don't know. Like if that's how fifth graders are taught, like give me kindergarten.
She basically explained it like I explained it to you, where a part of my brain is going outside of my skull because it's too big for my skull. I like in between my spine and the back of my esophagus is essentially what it is. But to be more specific, it's my cerebral tonsil magnum. Yeah, she just described it like with the scientific terms. I'm just like, yeah, my brain's too big for my skull.
Okay, but what did you think about her sponge analogy with the jelly bean? Like, I was just like, oh, okay, I can visualize that. I kind of see it more as like a big poop that I take, where I'm just like, is it like that kind of?
I'm trying to.
It's the hemorrhoids inside my skull.
I'm trying to depict I'm still trying to get the image because I'm not sure if the jelly bean is being formed from the spine or where like.
Oh my god.
Okay, so we have our brain inside our skull, right, Ashton?
Well, I don't know where you're getting the jelly bean thing.
The jelly bean analogy is a simplified way to visualize the condition of Chiari malformation. In essence, the cerebellar tonsil is a part of the brain that is normally located inside the skull, but in Chiari malformation, a portion of the cerebellar tonsil, which has a jelly bean-like shape, pushes down through the opening in the skull and into the spinal canal. This pressure can cause compression of the brain and various symptoms. The root cause of the issue is that the brain is too large for the space inside the skull.
So what causes the brain to?
That's what I said.
Chiari. It's this
There are
Chiari.
several possible causes.
It's a genetic malformation.
One common cause is an increased production of cerebrospinal fluid, which can lead to the brain swelling and expanding beyond its normal size. Other causes include genetic disorders, brain tumors, hydrocephalus, and certain metabolic conditions.
She said the cerebral fluid.
To answer your
Which
question
she are you
before she
referring
started
to, Ashton? Here, you got to be more specific. Like, I heard Mia like saying, like explaining her condition at the same time as Essence was explaining. So, like, here's me.
Essence didn't get to finish.
Right.
Well, I mean, neither did Mia in a sense. Like.
Yes, cerebrospinal fluid or cerebrospinal fluid (CSSF) is a clear liquid that surrounds the brain and spinal cord, cushioning and protecting them from trauma and providing essential nutrients. In macrocephaly, there may be an excess production of cerebrospinal fluid, leading to increased pressure within the skull and potential compression of the brain.
So how does one potentially reduce the production of the cerebrospinal fluid?
No.
There are several methods to reduce the production of cerebrospinal fluid. One is through a procedure called cerebrospinal fluid CSF diversion, which involves surgically implanting a device that helps regulate the flow of cerebrospinal fluid and reduce excess pressure within the skull. Another is through medication that helps reduce the production of cerebrospinal fluid or increase its absorption into the bloodstream. In some cases, treating underlying conditions such as brain tumors or hydrocephalus can also alleviate the overproduction of cerebrospinal fluid.
Okay. Now, can I answer the question that you asked originally? You're like, what causes the brain to I can't remember what you said, but the Chiari brain malformation is a genetic malformation that happens when the brain is forming in the womb. So a level 1 and 2 is like the brain is overdeveloped when it's forming in the womb. So it's going to be too big for your skull whenever you grow up. But level like 3 and 4 is an underdeveloped brain. So you're basically if you have level 3 or 4, you're essentially missing the back half of your brain, and you're locked into a quadriplegic lifestyle now because you don't have any motor functions. You don't have the cerebellum. All you have is, like you're missing the back of your brain. Where all the
It's
motor
a
functions are.
refashioned lobotomy in a sense, right? You're just like you're
Not
substituting.
really. They still have a prefrontal cortex. There's still a person in there, but they don't have any motor function.
Almost like what lobotomies did to people. Like the guy who.
Kind of, but they were targeting the like prefrontal cortex though. They're not targeting like your cerebellum with the lobotomy.
Well, I'm just saying, like, this is how brain surgery, like, evolved from. Like, I don't know if you know the history of, like,
Right.
the guy who invented lobotomy, but it's a very
Right.
tragic tale. Now, this is a different procedure where your mother got the surgery where we talked about, like, the zipper neck. She's a zipper neck now, where I'm just like, what? Like, you guys are Asian? But again,
So for Ashton, in that procedure, they remove a small portion from the back of the skull where the cerebellum is sitting against, essentially. They give it room to expand, so that way it's not that way the cerebral tonsils aren't protruding into your throat, and so they replace that portion of your missing skull with like a muscle graft. So it's like a fleshy little hammock for your brain to rest against. So you don't just have an exposed brain at the back of your head.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
to put
Chiari malformation, the cerebellum.
I know it's correct because I lived it.
Can protrude or herniate
Yeah,
through
I
the
know.
forehead
It's my
back,
brain.
the opening at the base of the skull where the brainstem ends.
So, Essence, have there been any scenarios where people have managed to cope or cure this issue outside of medical surgery?
proactively prepare themselves.
Yes, there have been some cases where people with Chiari malformation have managed to cope or alleviate their symptoms without surgical intervention. Some people may find relief from their symptoms through lifestyle modifications, such as avoiding activities that exacerbate pain or symptoms, getting regular exercise, maintaining a healthy weight, and reducing stress. Physical therapy and alternative therapies like chiropractic care or massage therapy have also been found to be helpful for some individuals. However, it's important to note that these methods may not work for everyone and that surgery often remains the most effective treatment option for managing Chiari malformation symptoms.
Okay, so what are some other methods that have been used that aren't necessarily scientific?
Some alternative or non-scientific methods people have tried to alleviate symptoms of Chiari malformation include using natural remedies such as herbs and supplements, practicing yoga or meditation to reduce
Herbs.
stress and increase relaxation, using heat or cold therapy to relieve pain and inflammation, and participating in support groups or online communities to connect with others who have similar experiences. Some people may also find relief through spirituality.
So let's say through meditation, what would be some practices people have used for that specific issue?
Some common practices or techniques used for meditation in the context of Chiari malformation include mindfulness meditation, body awareness meditation, and visualization meditation. These practices aim to help individuals focus on their physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts in a non-judgmental way, and to cultivate a sense of relaxation and reduce stress and anxiety. Guided meditations specifically designed for those with Chiari malformation may also be helpful, as these can provide instructions and cues tailored to the individual's specific symptoms and experiences.
That was what I was going to mention earlier, was guided meditations for the specific issue that you have, because they'll be able to direct your thoughts into the direction that maybe it needs to go. They would need to go in efforts for you to at least give it a shot. In as far as this goes, and
Right, but big but here, okay. Certain people have different levels of severity of a Chiari. So most people go their entire lives without even knowing that they have a Chiari because the symptoms aren't severe enough for them to even get it checked out. Not everybody's going and getting an MRI, but if my Chiari was severe enough to where my cerebral tonsils were expanding so much to where it was literally closing off my airways, there's only so much like guided meditation that's going to reduce the inflammation to where at some point I'm going to need to get the surgery regardless.
I'm not saying to not get the surgery at all. I'm saying to use this as a side mechanism to see if you see any benefits from it, but don't use it from the standpoint of doubt. Use it from the standpoint.
Right, but it's not going to like necessarily benefit me on a daily basis because, again, my pain tolerance is so high that I don't even notice the pain anymore. Only whenever I get flare-ups. But during these flare-up events, it's not like I can just meditate my way out of the pain.
No, it's
more of something that's.
Let's say this. Let's say the guided meditation starts preventing or creating larger gaps in between each flare-up. And you see that as
that's how it works.
Huh?
But I don't. But see, these flare-ups aren't caused by like stress or inflammation or something that could be prevented by like meditation. It's just like it's like having a seizure. Like you never know when you could have a seizure or a stroke or a heart attack. It's just.
So are you sure there's no correlation?
It's random.
Are you sure there's no correlation between what you're experiencing at the time as far as stress levels go?
I mean, Mia, this is an honest question that he's asking here. Like, is this like just that one time that your seizure happened? Like,
okay, so
because of the herbs that you were testing?
Was a seizure caused by
the herbs, right? The essence said herbs.
Upon reflection, I have recalled a memory of like once I was helping my dad, right? And looking back, I think what may have triggered I guess like a Chiari flare up, if you will, could have been the fact that I'm helping him try to do something that requires like physical exertion, like holding my arms above my head for extended periods of time, or whatever, like holding the flashlight or holding a nail or whatever. Right?
Okay, so physical exertion is the opposite of meditation.
Right, that's physical, like that's
right. So whenever
stress.
Hold on.
That would be.
Whenever I have these flare-ups, the remedy for me is go sit down. Okay, because when I'm having these flare-ups, it's like I feel like I'm about to like black out and pass out. So for me, the remedy is almost like meditation, where I just lay down and I just massage the back of my head and try to relax. But it's not so much of like, okay, I'm gonna start meditating now and I'm gonna go through this guided meditation. It's more just like, okay, chill, like relax, like just kind of breathe and hope it goes away soon. That's kind of my meditation, if you will.
Yeah. Well, so let's say that you have the beginning stages of flare-ups that are happening, but not all the way throughout your day, right? Throughout the day.
It's something that happens throughout the day. It's something that's sudden, like onset. Like if I feel it, it's like I'm gonna be like nauseous and like throwing up and passing out within the next minute.
I understand, but I guess what I'm saying is that maybe the flare-up isn't to the degree to where you notice it, is what I'm saying. And so what if those scenarios are happening throughout the day that you don't realize until one scenario takes it a little bit further? And so you getting into meditation or guided meditation can guide you into an understanding of a potential constant thought process that can alleviate the small flare-ups that you're not even noticing. Like there could be small reactions that are happening because of specific stress levels that you're hitting throughout the day or physical exertions or whatever that are continuing a perpetuation or an escalation of the situation. And so you getting into a guided meditation, or I would say guided meditation because it's going to send intention to or relaxation to specific areas of the body, like like you actually telling yourself to relax your brain and then trying to do that versus saying, oh, I can't do that because it doesn't work because I know that, these flare-ups are going to happen anyways, or whatever your excuse might be. But the reason in you telling yourself that it's not going to work, you're right. It's not going to work because that's what you're telling yourself. And so meditation does not work for people who tell themselves meditation doesn't work.
Right. I don't think I'm like when I'm trying to alleviate the symptoms of a flare up. I just don't label it as meditation, but it's essentially I'm doing the exact same thing. But when you it's almost like
Semantics, right? It's just
trying
different
with a
semantics.
placebo. If right, if I label it as this, then it's more palpable for my brain, and it's gonna placebo me easier if that makes
Placebo,
sense.
keyword, right there. So placebo effect.
Not that it's not working. It's hold on. Placebos. When I say placebo, it's not that it's not working. Placebos can still work, okay?
Yeah,
Because it's almost like the Matrix. Like your mind makes it real, kind of.
yeah.
So in that sense. So I'm not saying that like meditation doesn't work. I'm saying that I'm rebranding it in my brain so that it does work. Is what I'm
Yeah, whatever
doing.
method whatever you need to call it,
Right.
whatever.
But either way, at the end of the day, it's the same shit. Just different. It goes by
Yeah,
different names.
if you feel
Correct.
like it is, for sure.
Semantics. The
It
word for
doesn't mean
today
to.
is
It's also
semantics, boys and
a lot of
girls.
wordplay.
Semantics. Like,
That is the
Doesn't,
word
yeah, it
of the
doesn't
day.
have to be called
Semantics.
meditation. I mean, whatever
it
you
could be.
need to call the process for validating
Hey, I mean, you call it
the
master. I
outcome.
mean, you call it meditation. I call it masturbation. No, I'm just
Right, or
kidding.
prayer.
Same thing.
We call it prayer. I've
Masturbation.
mastered Bation.
I mean, meditate.
I like fishing. I'm a masturbator. Like, can we say it? Like, sorry, I don't mean to.
I occasionally go out and feed the geese. I mean,
No, but I mean, okay, Mia,
anyway.
like,
But no,
let me,
it's people rebrand it.
Mia, let me ask you this. Like, like you can look at it in two perspectives, okay? Like, you can meditate or pray
Right.
for an easier life, right? Just make my life easier, God, or just mind. Or you can say, give me the strength to endure this difficult time or this difficult struggle, right? Like that's an idea that I call mindset, right? These are two different mindsets that are, like Ashton was talking about, are based on the frequencies that are only a binary. It's a frequency that we call love, and then the other frequency, which is anti-love, not love, right? Hate, right? Anti-God, God, not God, right? This is what the semantics is talking about, okay? So I know you don't believe God like I believe in God, okay? So what if I told you, what if you look at God as an acronym for a goal, objective, and a dream or a deadline or a destination, right? Like that's how I teach like atheists or infant Christians like this basic understanding, like to grasp the Trinitarian programming that they've been conditioned with. I gotta break that programming, like McAfee, like antivirus, like that's what I am in this world. So like I'm trying to find the language that may like directly communicate with you without any firewalls. So like again, I'm trying different options. I've had more time and more knowledge of you than Ashton has. I'm very impressed by just like how intuitive and how in tune like he is with just his vibration. So Ashton, like kudos for that. But again, don't let
Yeah.
that go to your head again. I'm just speaking
No,
truth.
I'm I see my perspective as saying to him like, okay, so Mia, what is your belief system? Let me start there.
First of all, Ashton, I will answer that question by saying like Mia's pronouns are her and she. So
No. I'm talking about spiritually.
well, I mean that is
But
spiritual, like like
good
Yeah, my
morning,
spiritual
and
pronouns are she.
can I break in for a little second?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Dutch.
Because
Beg
I
your
feel
pardon.
like you drift away from where I came from. I heard you talk about meditations,
I mean, first of all, Dutch, like, how have you been? Like, brother, it's been so long since. like,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
good. I'm good.
good. I
I'm
hope
always
everything's been well.
around.
I hope everything's been well since our last chess match that we were
Oh yeah, well,
experimenting.
I miss that. I miss that. You know, I
I
love
missed you. I missed you. You
heated
know, like,
debates.
yeah. No, I mean, just I don't like the word debate, but I just feel like it was a fruitful discussion that we were testing at that point. You know, like I'm using
But
this
the
language, like
reason you don't like the word debate is because you think of it as something
a
bad.
mindset, right? Like a
But
debate is
debate
a game
can
to
lead
win or
to
lose.
It's all
yeah, no,
semantics.
debate is made for two people to spar with each other and come to new understanding. What is something good, you know? So I
What
have
new
no
understanding? Okay.
negativity to the word debate.
Okay, but if we interchange that word debate with discussion, when you use that semantic language, there's no change at all. Like in the mindset, it's still the same as what you say. Like I'm in debate mode. That's still discussion mode, Charles. You can call it discussion mode, whatever you want. You know, like
Yeah,
this is where I'm just like,
but now I come to I associate negativity to discussion because I see a discussion as something negative and a debate as something neutral.
okay, but then
How?
so
Why is
here's
a
where like
discussion
we
something
are on a
negative?
whole like another level where we are on the level where the debates are creating energy that is like what we're
So, but
experiencing.
we're
So
deviating. Let's not deviate too far away from the what Mia's
Yes,
issue
but
is.
let's go back to meditation. What I wanted to say is meditation is all about a goal, what you want to achieve, but there is a first state that you have to reach, and that is mind stillness. Like if you really want to be focused into a meditative zone, then you have to detach yourself of your thoughts and your feelings and come in a completely neutral state. And to achieve that is a job on itself. It is being in the present, accept your thoughts, but let them through. Don't hold on to them until you literally think of nothing anymore. And that state is so refreshing, but we have so many impulses of everyday experience and stuff. So to achieve mind stillness, it's very hard. But
Correct.
meditation start to achieve that state, mind stillness.
Yeah, I think that for a lot of people that is, um, it's almost like something they don't like. For people who don't meditate, it's something that they don't believe that they can accomplish. I didn't know that I could accomplish it myself until I actually experienced it, and you realize that
Well,
once you experience it, once you understand how to do it, then it's like riding a bike. You know, like you. But if you don't give it a shot and you don't believe in it, then
yeah.
you
I
understand me?
guess just like from my perspective, from someone who doesn't like meditate on a regular basis or anything like that. Like, if I was having like a like an episode of like serious pain, my first instinct isn't gonna be to start meditating because it's
No,
gonna
no.
be a lot harder
You're
for me
you're you're
to be in a
depicting the extreme. I'm
neutral
talking about
state
before the extreme
for a few
happened.
hours.
You're depicting the peak
Well,
of the mountain. I'm depicting like climbing up, like the climbing up portion of the mountain, like as far as like the pain level goes.
okay. Well then, let me back up a little bit. Let's say that like I feel something coming on, and even if I have that foresight to be like, oh, I can tell that I'm gonna be in some pain in the future. I wouldn't exclude meditation from like going and taking some anti-inflammatory pills, right? Like I'm gonna go take some ibuprofen and then breathe and calm myself, mindfulness and all that. But I'm not gonna do just one or the, Or or actually, I'd more likely take some medicine and not meditate because I had either
Okay, so
because of circumstance because I don't have the time
so
or
can I give
I
you? Okay, listen
get
to
back
listen
to
to
what I'm
this.
doing
Listen, listen.
or
I have a
but
perspective on what
take.
you just said because I get into disagreement sometimes with my brother I can get on to a debate on TikTok live and have a disagreement with somebody, and after I hang up the live or end the live from that conversation, I can potentially have an upset stomach or a slight pain in my stomach. I can take some medication for that pain, right?
Right.
And then ignore the pain, and the pain will get ignored because I took medication that blocks the pain, but the issue still is there. And so the issue
Yes, exactly.
and the issue stems from me lingering my thoughts on the fact that I just got into this disagreement and that it's still in my subconscious. And so if I eliminate that subconscious thought, my stomach will gradually start feeling better. And I didn't even need to take any pain medication for my stomach.
But you are more right than you
I mean,
think,
all I'm saying
because
is,
I,
is
as a
like,
Buddhist,
what about?
but 1 second, me as a Buddhist believe that you don't exist, because the you, or other word, the I, is always pointing to a concept that we made in our head, like I am brave. No, that is an opinion that I formed about myself. I am kind is also an opinion I formed to myself. And always you can say it is not the real you. So in meditation, we realize that all the thoughts that we have don't come from ourselves. All the feelings that comes to us are not from ourselves. And by accepting to have them, but don't act on them, that gives you mind stillness. So you can worry all day long, but understand the worries doesn't come from you. It's okay to worry, but it doesn't dictate the outcome of your action. So by accepting your thoughts, but just let it go and release yourself from that thoughts, then you clear your mind in a certain way. And by numbing yourself with alcohol or substance, it doesn't take away the problem, because your brain keeps saying, hey, I have something to say. And if you numb it, it's still there. So you have to accept the thing that caused that impulse, you know. But fighting, for example, if I lost my job, you know, and I think it's unfair, then I keep battling the unfairness of losing my job. But I can also say, okay, this happens to me, life happens to me, I lost my job, it's not the end of the world. The sadness that I feel about it doesn't gonna dictate what I'm gonna do, because I'm strong, I'm independent, and I'm gonna find a new job. You know, you can choose to focus yourself on the suffering that you receive, or you can choose to accept the suffering and make something fruitful of it.
Yeah. So
It's a state of mind.
the acceptance releases that frustration or tension or aggravation
Yes.
that's so yeah, and the same thing happens like with what I was talking about in having a debate with somebody that's gotten me mad. My stomach has had a reaction to my mind's frustration, and so by the fact that I'm still thinking about that argument in my subconscious, my stomach is still in pain. And so if I could just get my mind to accept the fact that that debate was what it was, I don't need that. I'm not going to talk to that person anymore. You know, I gotta, other things I can, I can distract myself with, or like I can take your mind off of that aspect of what's causing that frustration. The frustration will subside, which will cause your stomach pain to go away. And I do this all the time to myself because I notice that I can get stomach pains from an argument that I've been in, and that stomach pain can have a chain reaction of side effects of potentially causing Crohn's disease or some kind of issue in my intestines, and and so
Right.
realizing that
But I can say, if you get stomach pain from a debate, then I can already say that you have a lot of trauma that is not resolved, because it's not healthy to literally get physical upset of another opinion.
some people aren't
Uh,
just constantly in a meditative state though. Like some people deviate away from the meditational state into autopilot mode, and
Yes.
then once autopilot mode kicks in, you have to become self-aware that you're in autopilot, and then go back into the meditative state of mind again, to where your emotions are just they're
Yeah,
not
but
something.
what I try to say, it is quite unhealthy to literally get physical upset of a discussion. Then it is literally how do you say it? I am in a zone that people can tell everything and anything to me, and it doesn't touch me at all because your words don't dictate my feelings, my state of being, because I'm self-conscious and I'm self-aware enough to know what is true and what's not. And so I don't ever get physically harmed by a discussion. And if I hear from you that you literally get an upset stomach, then the discussion that you have is way too, how do you say, uh, emotional or whatever it is, but it is not healthy to feel that kind of stress by a discussion.
No,
Then
but
I should say,
I was giving a hypothetical. So all I'm saying.
okay, okay. I thought in the literally form,
No, no,
it's
like
not healthy to
once.
feel literally your stomach drop and stuff by discussions. Then it is a dangerous place to be, because you can lose yourself easily then.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
okay, Dutch Buddha, let me test your faith in yourself where you're like, I know my logic. Like I can't, like don't tempt me again. This is how we got into the last chess game where we were talking about women's rights, right? You wanted to like have a fruitful discussion to improve your skills, right? I'm paraphrasing and please correct me if I'm
Well, our
like
last discussion
does he
was
know? Okay,
about
no, 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 no.
pro-life. You
All
said
right.
you were pro-choice and I was pro-life, and that was the discussion we had.
Okay, right, right. So you took the thing where you called me as a pro-choice, as so you're pro-abortion. I said no, I'm pro-choice. Don't put your words into what I just told you. My preferred pronoun is for that. Okay, so then this is where if you want to play that game, I can argue the pro-abortion side. I can argue for pro-life. But Dutch Buddha, like, I don't know why you want to do this. And you came to me and just said, hey, look, I'm somebody who likes to kill people with logic. And I was just like, well, I'm somebody who likes to kill people with kindness. If I have to use the word kill, but I'm just like, you're using logic, I'm using spirit, okay? And when I use my
Yes.
spirit to explain why I look at just my, you even made like a jab at this when I said, when I look at like Roe versus Wade being in place when I was born gives more meaning and appreciation to my life that I already even had that I was dealing with before, that like I was like, man, my parents could have like not had me. They could have exercised their rights as American documented immigrants to do this, but because they, like they planned to have me, like I never had to worry about that. But when I hear advocates on your side for pro-life telling me, when I think about like, what if my parents aborted me? Like, oh, that kills me. I'm just like, that is a very selfish, like, hill that you're standing on to justify your like
No, 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 no.
logic bringing up. Let me finish, because you told me, Charles, you just said that you look at this as like more meaning to your life. Like, how foolish are you? And you took those stats where I'm like, you are giving me a gut feeling that you are like a very old man who thinks that he is still wise, but he doesn't realize that his mind
No,
is
no, no.
not like
It
there.
is the
No, 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 no.
concept.
I'm
It
not
is the
finished.
con.
So
No,
this
but
is
that
where
is the
you're
concept that you
defending
brought up.
yourself. So you're failing your
I
own.
don't defend.
No, you're defending. Okay, well, let's see what you got to say. Okay.
Let me explain what I said. You said I am thankful for being alive because my parents could have aborted me, but they didn't. And I say, okay, that's fair, but I think as
No,
pro-life,
you did not
there
say
should
that's
be.
fair. When it happened, you did not say that's fair. I have documented evidence. I could go back and prove it. Don't
The reason in
misrepresent
the
our
debate that I
conversation
argued
because you
with
think
you,
it's private. I put that public for a candid world to see, Dutch Buddha. I put you on the spot. You tested me.
yeah, if
I
you,
put you in the hot seat, and you lost that game of chess. And you're beginning a new
yeah,
one with
but
me
lower your
that you
energy for a
challenged,
second
not
so I
thinking
can
I would
respond.
take it.
Hang on, Charlie.
Lower your
Relax,
energy
relax
for
a
a
little bit,
second
dude.
so I can respond. What you basically said was you were thankful for all the children that was aborted so that you could say I'm not aborted and I am still
No.
alive.
That's
I
not
say
what
there
I was
should
saying.
never be an
That's not what I
abortion in
was
this
saying, and I
world.
corrected you. You
That is
put the words that
basically how you say it.
I see all the aborted lives that if it wasn't for all those aborted lives, this meaning would mean nothing. That's how you interpreted the words that I just said. When I'm saying that no, because of all those aborted lives that people like you keep throwing at our faces when it's just a discussion that should be between a woman and her doctor, what are we as men even talking about? Because people like you are just somebody who is killing people with logic. You're the problem that I see in the world. I'm trying to be sensitive about being like Dutch Buddha. You're the problem, man. And like I said, when people point a finger at somebody, I'm pointing all my fingers at you, right?
I just don't agree with abortion. That doesn't make me a bad person.
That's fine.
I
But
believe I believe that a child from conception has right too. And you can't just wipe away life because you don't want it on that moment. Then you just didn't have sex. If you don't have sex, you don't have children. As soon as you're pregnant and there is conception, there is a new human life, and that new human life should be cherished and not thrown away in a trash can. So I don't believe in abortions, period.
So how would you feel, Dutch Buddha, when you start seeing cases of children who start now suing their parents for not getting their consent to be brought into this world? This has happened. There's a case in India where
those people are insane.
Those people are insane. So now these lives that you say, like every conceived life has a right to whatever, like you just said, I'm paraphrasing that. So I will admit that but you said what you said, we all heard it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ashton. You stand with it. Okay, that's good. Okay, you're doubling down. You're doubling down. So please rephrase that for me so I know exactly what you're doubling down on to make sure I want to call your hand.
I say every child from conception has a kind of human right. And if a woman don't want to get one second.
Hold on. I don't recall you saying a kind of human right before.
1 second, I'm not finished phrasing.
Okay. I'm just acknowledging that you added new terminology.
No, I just be as clear as possible. Every child from conception have, in my way, human rights because it's a living thing. If a mother don't want to be pregnant, she has to just do one thing: don't have casual sex with men that she don't want to have a baby with. Then you don't get pregnant at all. If a child is conceived in the form of conception, it is a living organism. It's a new form of life, a unique DNA, a human in this world that never will replicate. So I think we have to cherish any kind of life, born or unborn. And so I don't believe in abortion because I think we have to care for that new formed life and not throw it in the trash can. So yes, I don't believe in abortion. Period.
Okay, so what life is being thrown in a literal or a figurative dumpster? It's the life of the mother who is being accused of being a murderer or schmurderer because that's how your pro-life uses their semantics to vocalize their opinion.
No, it's not semantics. It's not semantics. It's a living organism in the womb, and you determinate it, so you end the life.
It's a living organism living in the womb of another living organism, right? That has a higher level of consciousness.
A living organism?
Are you equivalent to your father's like?
It's a living organism in the womb, and you stop it living, so it
Is
is
a
basically
sperm
killing
cell
it.
before it even exits the male body? Is a sperm cell a living organism?
No, that is an one-cellular thing. A seed and an egg is nothing. When it comes together and it forms a fetus, to say it
So
like
like
that.
as soon as they
So
touch,
at
then it
conception,
becomes a
it
sacred thing that cannot be destroyed.
at conception it
Like
forms unique
like
DNA.
it's
DNA.
Yeah,
you know,
but
I
until
think as
then,
far as the topic goes, should I interject real quick?
yes, yes.
I,
where do we draw?
I feel like everybody
at
is
what point
entitled.
is it okay?
One at a time, please.
This is a topic that's pretty much down the middle of the spectrum as far as there's either like half the country agrees or half the country doesn't agree. Like most of the time, I don't believe that somebody should have the ability to pass legislation onto somebody else in reference to something that's such a split down the middle topic. Like um, I don't believe that somebody should have the power over somebody else whenever there's so much of so many people who believe differently. And
Yeah, but may I note that in America, a year, 1 million children won't get born, and we wipe away worldwide 1/3 of our offspring because we didn't felt like it. If we say that in 200 years they look back on this, it is insane that we must unalive our unborn children because we didn't felt like it.
well, okay, so Dutch, you're coming from your own perspective. Though.
Semantics.
This is your
No,
these are your emotions. This is your opinion about how you feel about that unborn life. Not everybody puts the same amount of value to what you place value on,
Exactly.
and
You
that.
said, yeah. You say
Hang on,
one third
hang on,
of lives are.
Charlie,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
hang
I'm
on.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let me just finish. Like what you place value on is up to you. Okay, there's a consensus amongst society as to not killing a live born being, right? That is out of the womb. That's a consensus between both sides. But whenever you get into the topic of there being an issue as to whether or not a fetus is considered alive or not, and you have it's a coin toss as to whether or not the next person is going to believe the same thing as you, then you need to just accept the fact that society is kind of split down the middle, and you're not in position to delegate the other side of the coin. You're only in the position to express your perspective on the issue. No matter how passionate you are, no matter how much
well,
scientific evidence you have, no matter what
to
belief
me it's
system you're a part of, you're
to me
you're
it's like simple, when I talk about this, I come from a biological stance, and 99.9% of all scientists say it is alive from conception. Then you come indeed to the fact how much worth do you put on an undeveloped fetus, and to what state you agree to abort it. And mostly it's after the 20 weeks or something, I don't know exactly, but it doesn't matter. I come from the point that I cherish every kind of life in this world because I come from a Buddhist life, and every life matter. That means the holiest person on this earth matter, but also the baddest and the worst person on this world matter, and everything in between, every life, every ant, every butterfly, every life matters. So even the born and the unborn. And if I say that, for example, in America, 1 million children don't see the light of day, and you think with me what those million people, if they were born, could meant to this world, and the amount of possibilities that are just gone Those people could change the world, make world peace or whatever. They never get the opportunity to become who they meant to be. So yeah, I
No,
come
hang
from
on,
a
hang on, hang on.
semantic standpoint with biology that we wipe away potential.
Whenever you say meant to be, you're placing your own opinion as far as what was meant to happen. Like what
No, I
was
don't
meant.
say. I say
It's guys, it's
you been
semantics.
born and you got
Listen
a
to his
chance of
semantics.
life.
Well,
No,
hang
but
on,
listen,
I'm listening.
you been born and you have the chance of life, and you have a long life already behind you. Those children that got aborted never got that chance. That is the whole point, I say.
Yeah, well, okay. So, but the thing is that it's still ultimately up to the mother as to whether or not she wants to go. She wants to have this process fully develop itself. So,
That's true. That's true. But we try to convince those mothers to please cherish your life inside you. Please care for your unborn baby. It's not only for that, but the after I don't been there, but the aftermath of an abortion is nasty too. Sometimes it gives more trouble to have an abortion than just get your child. So I
So
just
then,
have it
Dutch,
now
like, what
only
do
on,
you
on the semantics.
well,
what do you say to the mothers who tell you, "Look, I get where you're coming from, Dutch, but you are not a mother. So let us mothers like judge ourselves. We don't need men calling us schmurderers because of this semantic where we call it a procedure that's known as abortion. Now, you can twist the definition of what that is by just saying, yep, that's equal to murder because it's the termination of, it's an intended termination of a pregnancy, right? But by that definition, birth could be considered abortion as well because that is a
Charlie,
No,
ultimately,
that's not true. That's not true.
Charlie, and Charlie.
Can I?
So the, the,
Can,
the,
can I?
the, the debate shouldn't even be happening. Okay, there should be no debate because all we're talking about are perspectives and opinions on what one values. And so it doesn't matter to I don't think that the other side should delegate what is a split down the middle issue. If it was such a global consensus, this wouldn't even be a debate right now, for the most likely. But by the fact that it's such a split issue, one side should not have the power to delegate what's going to happen to the other side. It's
I
too much.
kind of agree with that, but I try always to just
Hey,
show them another way. And if they really want an abortion, I am not the one that gonna stop them. But I always say we are obligated to try to convince people to do good.
Yeah, but it's your perspective on
okay,
what
can
you feel like good is. Like I
Well, not
understand, I
sure.
understand.
I think preserving life is always is always better than determinate life.
Okay, so
So
you
yeah,
said always. You said always, right? There is a chance.
yes,
There's also chances that these parents, in being forced to have these babies, end up mistreating them. And let's say that they also aren't parent people who need to be raising a child to begin with. Like
well, then you have adoption or you have child protection
yeah,
service.
but
I don't think
who's
that
to say that
you
we
know, I've been
hold
through
on,
the
hold
worst
on.
youth ever. I am unwanted by my parents. I've been neglected all my life, but I'm still thankful I be born. So I
yeah,
don't
but you're
think
that's
that
you.
how your
But hang
parents will
on.
treat you.
But
It's
Dutch, you're
you
coming
know.
from your own
Okay,
opinion. There could be people who are on the streets that are homeless who went through what you went through, right? And
Yes.
they're standing there depressed and as to why they had to be raised in a family that has totally messed up their head, their mind, their brain, their conception of life as a whole. Their conception of life is miserable and disgusting and they hate people. And like there's so many scenarios that can
okay.
deviate away from someone actually appreciating the fact that they are here, you know?
Yeah, but I don't think it doesn't whatever is overcome to you, it doesn't take away that you deserve the chance to experience life and not pre-terminate it because something that might happen.
No, it's whether or not a baby deserves the chance to have life is also up to the mother, because the mother is the one who is the creator, and so you know you,
Yeah, but there is a father too. It is his child too. And
yeah,
if
of course.
what if the father wanna keep the child and the mother don't?
Hold on, hold on. Can I put you in, please? I've been dying to ask some questions. Hold on. So, Dutch, I just want to ask you a personal question about your like opinions and viewpoints. So, is abortion all the time, no matter how great?
You're choppy.
Your internet is a little bad, if I may say.
Oh, for shit's sake! I said okay. So, is abortion bad 100% of the time, no matter how extreme the circumstance?
Well, no, not
There's
always,
no
but
moral reason,
what?
right?
Let me
There's no moral
let me
reason.
reply. Let me
No,
reply,
no, no.
Chaplin.
So let's
1 second. I was
okay.
going there.
Just
I was going there. It's not always a bad thing, but in 5% of the times it is necessary. But that means that 95% of abortions are just luxury, lame excuses. But 5% if the mother is in danger or the child has literally no chance on a healthy being born because the nature has
okay.
complications. So yeah, in 5% I agree with it.
Okay. Can't remember where I was going with this. It's been so long
Well,
since I
you
had the
asked
first
or it
thought. I
was
couldn't get the second thought.
100% wrong, and I say no, it is not 100% wrong.
Okay,
It's
so yeah, there are
95%
certain
wrong.
I mean,
circumstances where
ultimately, though,
it
it's
is
still his
more.
perspective. It's
There's
a matter of
well, there's
perspective.
certain circumstances where it's more morally okay to terminate a fetus due to the circumstance. So like if it's endangering the mother's life, like or if let's say like let's put it in the most extreme circumstance, just for hypothetical. Let's say it's the nuclear apocalypse, okay? And you know that if you bring this, okay, let's ignore the fact that you got pregnant during the nuclear apocalypse, which is a stupid move in the first place. But let's just say
Yeah.
you couldn't avoid it, okay? Let's just say that you were forcefully
Well, there
impregnated,
are
okay?
symptoms that you know that your child get born with an open skull or with a dysfunctional heart
The,
or with a kind of
but hold on,
syndrome
that's not
or
where I'm getting at. That's not where I'm getting at.
oh, I thought.
Let's no. So let's just assume that you're forced to have a baby in the nuclear apocalypse, but you know that if you have this baby, that you're going to have another mouth to feed, and you physically do not have enough resources to feed this mouth and things, and if you were to bring this child into conception, then you would risk the lives of your other children or your own life or whatever. So in this extreme scenario, would it be morally okay to give yourself an abortion in that scenario? I guess.
Well, at first, normally we don't do it anymore. But normally a child get breastfeed up to 2.5 years because it's super healthy. So she doesn't have an extra mouth to feed. Her body will feed the
You said
child in the
okay. So
most necessary part.
my
And the
daughter,
second
my
thing
daughter had an
is,
allergic reaction.
you can always work to solutions for that feeding the extra mouth. So to predetermine it because maybe food is scarce, yeah, I don't think it's high enough. If you go,
Your
if you go,
perspective. See, this is all boils down to your opinion, and it's my opinion. It's Mia's opinion. It's Chaplin's opinion. So the key
why
word
is the lack of food?
but
Why
it's
is the lack
all
of
a
food
matter
a
of
necessary
opinion.
I
reason to
wouldn't want to bring
determine
another
a
baby
child?
into a world of nuclear apocalypse suffering. I feel like
But see,
at that point it's more like why would I want to bring a life into suffering like this? I almost see it as like a mercy thing where like I wouldn't want to um repeat this cycle of suffering, so I want to put this fetus out of its misery before it can even get the chance to suffer. Like I'm not gonna let it suffer. That's how
Well, what I
I
said
would see it in
before,
that specific extreme
children
scenario.
children are very adaptive and maybe they change the world for the better they are the savior that gonna change the world for the good, maybe. But a million children don't get a chance to show themselves to the world a year in the
Yeah, and
USA
there's
alone.
also, you know, there's
UK in
also
UK it's even worse, you
there's
know.
also a million
So
people. There's also a million children that are born that make the world more difficult.
yeah, well, you never know until it's
Either
happening. So predetermined that it doesn't deserve to live,
It's,
I
it's
don't
not that it
agree with.
doesn't
okay.
deserve. It's not that it doesn't deserve. It's not a matter of deserving. It's a matter
Well,
of
you choose it's not going there. So yeah, you chose it's
yeah, but
not
it's not. It's
deserving to
not whether or
live.
not. It's not whether or not it deserves the life. It's not. It's not a matter of deciding that that term deserve is not the issue. The issue is whether or not the mother or the parents feel as though they are in a scenario, in a situation that is conducive to bringing another baby into the picture. Like let's
Right.
say the condom. Let's say the condom broke. Let's say that the birth
Like, you're not
control
in a
didn't,
position to be parenting a child due to circumstances. You don't
yeah,
have the right
it's up
money.
to
You
You can
can't.
go
You
for
can't physically. I mean,
adoption
yes,
or
you can go to
anything. There are other
adoption.
solutions than there are other
Right. I mean,
solutions that
that's
terminate it.
immediately where you're gonna go to is there's other solutions, right? But like,
Yes,
I don't know.
I
that's
say
No, go
there is
ahead.
no good
guarantee. That
reason
doesn't
to. There
abortion.
is
I
no
mean,
good. As I said,
adoption.
there is no good reason to determine a life other than self-defense. So if the mother is in danger, I agree. In 95% of the chances, there are other solutions. So then terminate your child is not a solution. If it comes like I couldn't raise my child, well then give it away. But give at least the child a chance on life.
But
If
then
you say
there's
I
no
don't have the
suffering
Give
money
it
body
for
for being
away.
it,
mistreated
there are
Give
by
it
people
away.
parents.
that
Yeah,
love to
yeah, like
pay
have
you
the child,
to
but
raise
just
your
give the child
child.
And
away
there's
because
people
Right?
that's
who
going
abuse
You
their
get
foster
my
children
child.
too.
You get my child.
so
Now it's
so so
become
the
property.
sympathy for like bringing this child into a situation that's already unstable because you're having to give the child away and then cross your fingers that whoever you're giving your child to,
It'll be the
some
best result, right? Like,
yeah, it's
oh,
always
like,
going to be 100% situation
Yeah.
where you cross your fingers and that child's probably going to be fine
right?
and
That's your
you're just giving it
hypocrisy,
away.
Dutch Buddha. Like, at least that I
No,
see that. I'm just like,
it's better than end his life before
No,
it's
not
even born.
necessarily. Not necessarily, because you're
To
assuming
me,
it's
it
going
is.
to
to
be better.
you, to you, it's better,
You're
but
Having
to
a baby
us,
that you know is gonna
You're
live a
assuming it's
long,
going to be better.
suffering life, or just ending it before it can suffer. Like,
He's making the assumption that that child is going to have a good life. You could be putting the
And you
child.
make the assumption that a child's gonna be miserable.
okay,
So
No,
what is
I'm
the
making the
difference?
assumption of
I
both.
think
let me
positive
put
and you think negative.
No, I
You
think
say literally the
hold on.
child's gonna be miserable, so I end
Let me
it
put
now.
no,
And I say give it a
no.
chance and it might thrive.
That's not the perspective that I'm coming from. I'm coming from the perspective of there's a chance the child could be happy. There's a chance that the child could be sad. But is that the scenario that I want? That I feel like I want to have to experience in my life because it is a matter of whether or not you want to live through the guilt and just giving your child away also. That's because you may feel as though, like, let's say the mother is a drug addict and the father is an alcoholic, hypothetically, and so the child the mother ends up having the baby and then gives it up for adoption, but the baby wants to know as to who their mom is and finds out that their mother is a drug addict and the father's an alcoholic, and so the mother has to deal with that in the future of the potential of the child discriminating and feeling like the mother should have not have chosen that path in life. The mother instead decides to not want to go through that process and not want to go through even there's so many scenarios where the mother probably isn't even mentally stable. The mother you know,
Yeah.
what if a mother
And
decides not to have not to have to give the child away, but ends up abusing the child, and the child becomes mentally disturbed? Like there's, but
well,
there's also
I can tell you a personal anecdote, okay? And I know it's a personal anecdote, but this matter. I know a girl for over 15 years, and that girl was very terrible with her parents and stuff, and she
Hold
was
on.
very on
You
her
knew her
own.
in like the biblical sense, or you like knew her as like a friend who
Yeah,
like
don't make a joke out of
no, no,
this
no. I'm
because
not. I'm
it's a
not
very
joking.
delicate story.
No, no, no. I'm
I
not
know
joking
her
here.
like she's
I'm
my
not
real life
joking here.
friend for 15 years.
Okay, okay. Not a partner or
She's
anything,
my
right?
best
Okay,
friend.
okay. Best friend, not a wife, not a wife, but a best
No, I
friend.
say there is a girl I know her for 15 years, and what I say she has very worst youth because of her parents, and she was very lonely. And on one time, the parents had a celebration for their wedding, and they decide to invite a guy that they thought was her friend over to the party. And that happens, and they were both a little bit drunk. She never drinks, but that party she drunk. They slept in several separate rooms, but at night he decided to visit her while she was completely passed out, and after 7 months she noticed that she was pregnant without even knowing that she did anything. She chose to keep the child even she was in poverty and everything. Then she eventually moved out her parents' house, got social security payments, and now the child is 13 years old. It's an angel of a child, and she is always happy that she kept it. Even the child is made by a very bad man in very worst circumstances. She is thankful every day that she kept the child because it is the most wonderful thing that happened to her, even the circumstances were sad.
Well, the potential is for both sides to be true, though. So I'm
Yes.
not leaning. I'm not leaning towards one side versus the other. But you can't just lean towards one side.
No, but I say a child is a wonderful thing. What can happen to you, and
Okay, hold on, hold on.
But
predetermine that
here, no,
it's
no, hang
gonna
on,
be
hang on.
ruining your life.
You
No,
just
but
you
one
just
second,
answered.
one second.
You weren't listening to what I
Predetermining.
said. You weren't
Yeah,
listening
but
to what I said because
yeah, but
you're still defaulting back to the good. Whenever
my
I'm trying to
per
get you
my
to observe. Let's say this child doesn't have that path and ends up being the person that actually unalives you.
yeah, but how much of the time will it go
I mean,
wrong?
so this is hold on.
Like
We could go in
it's not a
circles
matter
on
of
this
it's not a
all
matter
day
of how
long
much
about
it
what
goes
if
wrong.
this and
It's a
what if
matter of
that.
it
But
not being
I
anybody
think
else's decision. It's nobody
it
else's
comes to
decision.
oh
It's
my
no,
not
god.
but
your
it comes to
decision.
the point that I think it's more likely to have a good turnout, and you try to convince me, yeah, there might be a bad turnout, but I still think
Dutch,
it
what
is
happened to
not
the
good
boy's
to
biological father?
predetermine it.
What happened to the boy's biological
Okay,
father? Did he get
all right.
punishment for that, or did he get a free pass because his mother, the wife,
Hold on,
the
hold
friend
on.
of yours, who this is her perspective. It's not your personal anecdote. It's your personal friend's anecdote. Like, yeah, like that's not
Yes.
my definition of what I would say. This is a personal. I wouldn't even use anecdote. But again, your semantics is just the language. You know, like I'm trying to get you in on like what I'm studying, Dutch. I'm like trying to be transparent with you with a little bit of mystery. But like I said, this is a science experiment that I am conducting. I know Dutch or Ashton is also like on the same path as me, and we got Mia here is also like a young, you know, like you have three different perspectives here who are all telling you like on this specific topic, it's your perspective that is your perspective. But when you start saying your perspective is
Well,
like this and our perspective is this, but your perspective is still the morally higher ground than our perspective, like you're just constantly like not accepting
I
like
can
the
understand. I can understand the perspective of Buddhism valuing every aspect of life because I do too. I value every aspect of life, but I also realize that I can't control other people, and so
Yeah, but
I
I don't deny your story, and I don't deny your truth. I stick on that predetermine. You can't
So what?
predetermine the outcome.
No,
hang on.
again, Dutch. What happened to the biological father? You, as a friend for 15 years, her best friend told you like, this is what this guy did to me. Like, bestie, I don't know what to
I
do. As a best
witnessed
friend, where
it.
you're just like, well, I just
I
hope
mean,
that you're
Charlie,
not pregnant.
what happened to the biological father is kind of not. It's besides the point as far as the.
She literally didn't include him. She didn't ask
No,
for
no,
any
no, no, no.
money of him, and they were just
Obviously.
happy together.
But what was your judgment, your own personal moral judgment of this guy who you haven't even met? I don't think. Like, you said her parents just introduced her at a wedding. It was a one night, like it was
I mean,
just a thing.
truthfully, it's still regardless of the matter. It's a matter of personal opinion and perspective. You can feel like you have the moral high ground. You can feel like most people feel like they have the moral high ground within their perspective, and you can try to
Yeah, the moral.
explain why you have the moral high ground, and then you can still feel like you have the moral high ground. But regardless of matter, it's still your perspective in having the moral high ground. And
I,
Yeah,
you can try to explain
but
that you have the
sometimes
moral high
people.
ground over and over and over and over,
Yeah,
but
but
it's
sometimes.
still
I
your
hear you. I
perspective.
hear you.
But sometimes people say, what is the conception being bad? Like in an R situation, like when you have unwanted intimacy, and then don't wanna have it because it had a bad father, and I say, well, that's predetermined, and I try to say with my story, like, yes, there are situations that you get pregnant on a very horrible way. But if you keep it and give it a chance, it can be the best thing that's happening in your life. And now, 13 years later, it is a little girl, very bright, going to become an advocate for human rights and everything. And they are happy
Right.
together, and they have the
But
best life possible,
but
you know?
but all he's
There's
saying
always
is
that possibility for sure.
that's a maybe. They can grow up to be a, or be murderer. No, no. But they should have, mother should have the choice to be like, I don't want to take that chance. I don't want to take that risk. You know,
But you don't
it's
Yeah,
know
no,
it
50
if you don't
50s. Oh, your
try,
kid's
you
gonna be an
know?
yeah,
angel and a blessing,
but
or
after
your kid's
you've
gonna be a serial
tried,
killer. Like,
it's the end. That there's no other option other than like that. There's because you can realize that because of your situation, let's say that you don't want to give away the child, and then the child gets raised in a drug addict, alcoholic environment. What do you feel like the chances are of the
I
success?
think that's the reason why we have to improve child protective services.
Oh gosh.
Improve it.
yeah.
There's scenarios where I mean homeless people have children. There's scenarios where other people in other countries have children. Are we gonna do protective services within other countries too? Are we gonna try to send protective services out to the
Lekker
homeless
de,
shelters?
de
We
Like
already do
there's not
that
always going
because
to
in
be,
Holland, in the
huh?
Netherlands, here in Holland, we have a lot of organizations that go worldwide to the less developed countries to do a lot of things for people to get children into schools and to have children good
Yeah, but
health care. And we do a lot for children worldwide in Holland.
that's fine, but it's still a matter of personal perspective. You can say whatever you want, but that person, it's almost like trying to debate somebody's belief system and in you thinking you can change their belief system. It's most likely not going to happen.
No, but we can try to give them new insights that they
No, you're
make
not giving new insight. What you're saying is not new. It's old. Every word that you've said is old as the beginning stages of the first time somebody, or maybe the 10th time somebody had an abortion and started thinking about it more,
Right?
more than with
You're calling the old game by a new semantic term, like
It's
Dutch
not
Buddha.
new news. You're not going to be able to manipulate a conversation or a perspective of somebody who has made the determination for themselves if they have come to a conclusive perspective. It's not going to be, you know, uh, the chances of you being able to sway somebody are so slim. I see it as being similar to somebody who, unless it's like a teenager, you know.
Well, it happened a lot of times. Believe me, you know, there is a reason behind my matter, and that is, and I stick with it, you can't predetermine the future. We are not
And you
some
can't. You
we are
can't
not
either.
some witch with a globe.
You can't
So
You're
either.
absolutely
everything
right,
is
and I
random
hope that
chance,
you
so
take
some
your
people want to take
advice.
the
You
chance.
can't predetermine it yourself.
Right, you
and
should
I
take
believe
your advice,
and
Dutch
I believe
Buddha.
that the outcome and I believe that the outcome of having a good life in morality and subjective views, you know, I can say objectively, but also just by my opinion, that the outcome of having a good life is higher than
But that's
having
your
a
opinion. That's
miserable
your
life,
opinion.
because we
Okay,
That's
human
your opinion.
automatically care
That's
it's
your
for
not
opinion.
higher.
others.
If
It's not
anything, it's
only
actually
determined
lower.
on
That's
the
your
mother,
opinion,
but
though.
No, no,
That's
no,
your
no.
opinion.
Let's
The
let's
outcome
yeah,
is
but
your opinion.
do
the
you think
chances.
statistically that more children have a good life, or do you think statistically more children have a bad life?
That's a
It
wrong
isn't even
statistic that
it
you're
isn't even
using.
like a 50-50 cut down the middle chance. It's more like, you know, you have a chance of being a perfect angel person, you have a chance of
Right.
being a bad person, you have a chance of being a
You,
normal person.
you're a
It's like
statistics guy,
you're
right? Like
the
it's just all
more
numbers for you.
variables you're
Yeah,
adding,
like
the less and less likely there
Well,
are to have a good life.
Right?
The
he's
more
Us-
using
likely they are to have an average or bad life, because there's
he's
only
using
well,
one
statis-
ending where there's good. You know what I
generic
mean?
yeah, but
statistics.
but
Who?
statistics gives a kind of perspective on reality. I don't say
No, but
no, it's
statistics
a
is
It's more
baseline
of
it,
spectrum.
but
no,
statistics.
It creates a
statistics says
spectrum.
it's most likely.
but the statistics have to be done in the correct manner. You're just giving a general statistic.
Well, I think
I'll
that
give
you
you
can
an example,
say
Dutch.
that most people are happy to be born
Most.
instead
No,
of
no, no.
being sad
Okay,
to be
okay.
Like
born.
you're giving
See,
more
you're
general
using,
statistics.
yeah, you're using general
General
words like most
statistics.
and like some, and then you use
I say
specific
he's
terms
using
like
words like faith
percentages,
and most. Like
right? Okay.
he can't be
Consistent.
concrete.
It's not consistent. It's
He
not.
can't be concrete in
It's
his perspective
exactly.
because it's not possible.
This
It's
is what
not
I call
Well, I
possible.
Ashton
can't
the
say
quantum
everybody is
entanglement in
happy,
his
but most
consciousness.
are happy, you know?
This is
No,
Dutch Buddha's
like
conscious
he's
quantum entanglement being put in superposition. This is for my own data
like
purposes.
goodness, like most. I'm not even gonna say that. I'm not even gonna say most
Well,
people
I'm
are
saying it.
happy.
I'm saying it.
No, he said most people are happy, but that's his interpretation.
No, okay, so this is
Well,
where I'm going to throw
I
it
think
back
if
at
you
you,
ask
Dutch.
around, you get the same results. I
We
think
don't have
not
to ask
everybody is
around.
miserable.
We trust you. You use the statistic 1/3 of all babies are aborted, which that's how you look to choose to interpret that data, right? When I tell you, that tells me that 2/3 are being born and living, and maybe this is a chance, whatever you want to take it, that we can use that energy that we would have given to that third that granted had their lives sacrificed for whatever reason. I'm just going to use those semantics, but to focus that energy to the 2/3, right? Ashton, would you agree with that? But he's not going to see that. He's going to twist it
No.
around. Watch, right? Like, see, it already
Because
began.
I don't gonna cheer about the 2/3 being alive while the 1/3 gets slaughtered. I
Why?
don't gonna cheer for
Why?
the 2/3.
Because the 2/3 who are alive don't matter, because the 1/3 are the ones. So you're like a civil rights activist who like is a feminist, but you're like the worst kind of feminist. You're a Buddhist feminist, where I'm just like, come on, man. As a
No,
Buddhist,
I
like,
say the
man,
1/3. I say the 1/3 matters too. I don't cheer for being them unalived.
no. You say the 1/3 only matters here. That's
You
the
know,
difference.
there's
No.
a way to look at this.
That's not what I said.
Dutch, there's a way to look at this as though every outcome is the outcome for a reason, and the reason is up to whatever the mother's purpose for having that reason is, or life's purpose for having that scenario pan out in the way it did. And you know,
Yes.
and so we can't just chalk off everything as necessarily being a negative because it didn't pan out in the way we see life is supposed to pan out. You know, we think that the only best outcome is for everything to be born, and
Yeah, but
maybe
life is difficult, and as soon as we accept that, it makes things easier.
There
And I
you
say
go.
just because life is difficult, you don't have to be born is not a reason for me. Again, you can't predetermine somebody's future.
but
Just give him at least a
keyword
chance to be born.
reason for you. Okay, so you're still coming from your own opinion, regardless
Well,
of what you
I
say.
come from compassion.
Hold
I
on,
don't
Ashton.
think
That's
this
fine.
child
It's
has to be
it's your
getting the chance
perspective.
to be
It's your
born.
still your perspective. It's still your perspective, regardless of what comes out of your mouth. It's your perspective on life
Yeah,
and how
yeah, but
people
that's
should handle it.
always.
To be
That's
fair, like
always.
from my personal observation, like this is a shift in the perspective. Like, so this is where like, okay, Dutch, I'm hearing you right here. Okay. So this is where I kind of see this as like, this is your like super ego or ego telling you the advice, right? It's pointed at us, but it's really
No,
yourself
morality is
telling
subjective.
yourself.
So
Okay, so
everybody
okay,
has an
just
opinion. Morality
so
is subjective, and my morality says everybody deserves the chance on life. Your morality is no, mothers have the right to unalive their child. That is a different stance in morality, and that's okay because morality is not objective. Morality is subjective.
And personal perspectives, everything is subjective.
well,
Everything.
let him keep going. Keep going, Dutch Buddha. Like I said, my father told me an empty can makes the most noise. But let's see if he's full of something now. Like this is the analogy I'll give you, Ashton. But let's just kind of
No,
let him go.
I'm never empty. I always come with my belief system based on empathy in the Buddhism form. And as I say, everybody deserves at least a chance on life. And I'm never gonna change that. That is my morally objective view. But
Okay, so what
my,
about the
my
moral
morality is subjective.
What
So I
about
accept that people don't agree with me. But for me, there is no reason why I would stand off my opinion that yeah everybody deserves a chance on life. That is right to me.
well, does everybody deserve the chance to a- act upon life in the way they choose? Act
Well,
upon the decisions in life in the way that they choose to act upon the decisions in life?
there are good people, there are bad people, and society determines some can be done and some can't be done. Every country have a different kind of
Well,
morality.
that's what I'm
Like
saying.
in China, for example, they love in dictatorship, and in Europe we are like all democracy. In America they do a
So do you feel
republic.
do you feel like
You
that's a
know,
good thing? Do you feel like that's a good thing though? That they
no,
get that
I say we all have different morals and perspective on life.
exactly, and that's what I'm saying is that is also a perspective in Buddhism that people get to choose their decisions. People get to
Yeah, but
people
in
get
the
to
end,
have
you have to choose what is your morality. And I can, in the end, challenge your morality by questioning it. And you can challenge my morality by questioning it. And maybe your morality will shift to mine, of mine to yours.
yeah no but
But
no
in
but,
the end, in the
yeah,
end,
no. That's not
you
ever
are
gonna happen.
obligated.
but no but
You are
but there's
obligated to
there's
have your
another
own
maybe
opinion. Indeed,
there's another maybe you're excluding in that scenario.
is
You
it?
there yeah the other maybe is the fact that you don't even need to challenge the morality at all.
Right,
Well, I
exactly.
do.
Why
In
are
my
you even trying to
morality,
play
I
that
have to
game?
challenge every. In
We're not
my
trying to
belief
play that
system,
game. Like, you know,
no,
like
but in my belief system, I have to challenge everything that might be
That's your belief that you have
because
to
your
causing
belief
suffering.
system isn't strong like our belief system is. We are firm in our
My belief
belief.
system is super strong. I believe I have to do everything to avoid suffering.
Fake it till you make it, right, Dutch Buddha? Like fake it till you make it. Like I see it. I see
Well,
what
I
you're
don't
doing.
think.
I know.
I think
I
you
know.
can.
I know. I
I
can't
think
teach
you
an old
can't
dog new
name
tricks.
Buddhism empty and fake.
No, I mean,
I
I'm just
just think
saying
that
you
I
are
think
a
that there's a
shining
way.
example of where Buddhism fails humanity, right? It's just if this is how Buddhism
Because
would
we don't
shape the
let you
world,
unalive your child.
humanity,
That is why we
humanity.
fail.
No, no, I'm
It's
just
it's
saying.
it's not a matter of letting somebody unalive their child. It's a matter of letting somebody treat or make their own decisions in life that revolve around something that is actually split right down the middle. Society has different opinions on like it's probably really close to 50-50 on the decisions as far as whether or not abortion is wrong or right according to the person. And so that being the case, the moral compass on that deviates from giving every life the chance to survive to giving every opinion of life as to whether or not they feel like they're in the position to create that life, and and,
Okay.
and and that opinion that they have about what's happening inside their own body is their decision because it's within the confines of their organs. Like
Yeah, and now we
no
come to the
government.
Okay.
we come to the slight moral difference. I think the unborn child has a voice too, has also right and a say in or he want or don't want to live. But he can speak, and since he can
But we
speak,
already covered that. I asked you, but what if that child, when they can speak, sues those parents in court? And you said that's ridiculous. That person is fool.
yeah,
We already covered that. So don't
Okay.
don't
All
try
right.
to go this way. We've already
All
exposed
right.
that route.
yeah,
Hold
I
on. Let
just
me.
say like I think human rights start at conception, and yeah, everybody has the chance on
But I
life.
mean, key word is think. You think.
Yeah,
Oh my
because
god.
You're thinking.
morality is
It's
subjective,
not.
and
It's
in
that's
my
your perspective.
morality,
It's your
in my
opinion.
morality is this is true, but in other people's
I
morality
haven't been
don't.
able to get a word in so long.
So
This is
yeah,
where Mia. It sucks to be kind of like the youngest one in this group, but I admire your patience. Like like this is where at your uncle, I'd be like, you want to go step outside, like, but like just
Well, yeah, I was gonna say smoke a joint.
What's up?
Anyways, no.
well, we can
Oh
change the
no,
subject
Dutch.
anytime.
Dutch. I
I
wanted
no
to
don't
no no
ask.
mind
no no
doing
no.
that, but
Let's
I
just
wanted to
change
ask
the
you.
objective. Sorry,
I
go
want.
go.
I want to ask Dutch a stupid question that I've been thinking about for a minute. Um,
okay.
is
But there are no
is
stupid questions, right? So
I mean, I'm just asking your opinion on it. Nice notification
What
sound.
is that? What is that like a
Anyways,
sound effect you're doing, Ashton?
No.
no, there was a message on my phone. I will put it on silence 1 second.
I'm just like, is that
anyways,
like a synchronicity? Like somebody like that happens to me all the time. Like, what is that? Like,
Oh,
there's your
notification.
damn.
son. But anyway, stupid question.
My
Okay,
Go
phone is
for it.
tripping.
stupid question. Okay, so I guess it's kind of for everybody, but anyways, the question is death inherently bad? Okay, sounds like a stupid
No,
question at first. Okay, so
no, not per
the
definition, but there is a but. Only
okay,
death by natural causes.
okay. Well, let me rephrase. Is the
Hold on,
state
hold
of
on. Like,
being
what was the answer?
unalive is the state of being unalive bad? Like, should we avoid that at all costs? Right?
So
Well,
this is where the
also
semantics
that
changed for me. The whole thing.
that is
Like,
comes by the circumstances. Self-defense is
Okay,
not
but
bad, but
no. Hold on.
attacking
The
is
means do
bad.
not
You
justify the
know, it is
ends
the
here.
intention behind unaliving that makes it wrong or right.
No, okay, but this is more of like a philosophical question of like, is death like, are you suffering when you're dead?
Well, some people do.
What do you mean? Like,
this is a
in
great
like,
question, Mia. Thank you.
if just hold on, if you are non-existent right now, you are neither alive. Okay, imagine how it must have been to experience life before you were born, right? You can't because it was just nothing. That's what death is like, right? So
You
death
start
is
feeling halfway
like, what
the
do you think?
pregnancy. You start feeling.
No. Hold on. This is not. I'm not even talking about fetuses at the moment. What do you think happens after death? Like, do you think it's just like the eternal void, or do you believe in heaven and hell? Like, what do you
I believe that
reincarnation?
we create heaven and hell by the way that we pass away.
Oh, okay, okay.
You
All
say
right.
that
So
we create heaven and hell by the way that we pass away, and then that's when you said earlier a natural death is like a answer for you to
so
what Maya
so
asked.
It's
if a
deeper.
fetus
It's
dies of an
deeper. Do
unnatural
you know
death,
when you have a
aka an
relationship,
abortion?
for example, you have a relationship and your girlfriend breaks up with you and you don't want that and you get totally crazy insane in your head. Emotions are raising, you're panicking all day and you are super frustrated. You know that state of mind?
No, Dutch, because I got 99 problems, but a woman ain't one. So I don't know that
Well,
much. So convince
but
me, please convince me of all of
I just try
convince
to
me
draw a picture.
of all your female problems. Like let's
Are you
get this
getting
trauma
further
out.
away from the
Let's
I
get
topic?
this
try to be
trauma out.
serious,
Charlie,
Captain.
Charlie,
I
Charlie.
try to be serious, chap. So,
Let's let him
but do you
just.
know that state of mind? What I try to describe?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, if you pass away, you know, and you are very unsatisfied and happy on the moment in your spiritual being, then that will last for the decharging state. So if you, for example, have the feeling like that breakup thing, that will last like a long eternity, it isn't, because I believe in reincarnation, but then you are in that state a long time. So we Buddhists always say, try to embrace the
Don't
passing
include
away
we. Don't use that
without
term
any
we.
regret.
Because
Okay,
no,
okay,
don't
okay,
like
okay,
Charlie,
okay,
Charlie,
okay.
I
Charlie.
can't make a sentence of your brain break me.
no, no, because when you
Hold on. It is. Okay. We're getting further and further away from the core of the topic. Okay, because I want to bring it back. Okay, for a second.
Okay, bring
Now
it
think
back,
about
please.
that, but for a fetus. Okay, when a fetus ceases to be alive, right? They physically haven't developed a personality, right? They haven't developed emotions or a prefrontal cortex yet, okay? So how if I were to unalive a unborn fetus, right? They're not gonna be stuck in a loop of regret from the life choices they've made because they haven't made any choices yet. So what happens when a fetus dies? Like, what happens to that fetus's soul? Do they
Well,
go
I
like
have
down
one
to
metaphor
hell
for
because
you
they
that
died of an
perfectly
unnatural
fits
death?
this. I got one metaphor that perfectly fits
Okay.
this, and you can answer it.
Okay.
If you tomorrow
Okay.
win $10 million, but you don't know it today, yes? But if I don't act, you get in a week $10 million, yes? If I now take that
What?
$10 million away from you, you never know that you would get it and you never receive it. But still, I took that $10 million away from you. Is that wrong?
You've already confused me. How
Yeah, I'm not sure
how does
that.
this
You
relate to
get,
the afterlife?
okay, I do it
Like,
once again. I give you the opportunity to have $10 million next week. But you don't know that you're gonna get it.
okay.
But you're gonna get $10 million next week. Yeah? And then I come by and swoop away your $10
Okay.
million. So next the week passes and you don't get your
can't
$10 million. You didn't even know it. So who cares? But I took your $10 million that you had right on.
That's not
Is
a good.
that wrong?
That's not a good metaphor because you're assuming
So
that
okay.
it's always
No,
going to
no,
be a positive
let him
outcome.
answer. Is that wrong? To swoop away your $10 million
What?
where you didn't were aware of that you get it.
Okay, you're going the opposite direction with me now.
No. I
You're
make a
talking-
metaphor.
I
That
see
is
what you're
a
saying,
metaphor
like-
is a little
No, no, no,
story
I see
that
what you're
applies to
saying.
something else. It will make sense in the end. You have to
No,
answer it.
it
I
won't.
get it.
Is
I
it
see.
is it wrong or
I
not?
see the similarities. Okay. I get what
Is
you're
it
asking.
wrong
It
or not?
is it okay to take the chance of a baby having a life? Okay, I get the analogy, but I'm not talking
Okay,
about life.
okay.
I'm talking about death. I'm saying
Yeah, but I talk
is
about
death
that
in
part first.
itself like
See, but Dutch, what you're misunderstanding is the fact that
okay?
you're
But
assuming.
I'm asking you about the other part.
Yeah, what he's assuming is that death is the automatically bad thing, and comparing the
Like
fact
like
that the $10
like
million
what is
is gone.
like you don't know what happens after we die. Like
I can
what if
answer you this
these
smart.
unborn babies
I
they're
can
not
I can I can answer
hold
you this part,
on
Luke.
for fuck's
It
sake.
no, the baby doesn't know that he get unalived, and he doesn't feel a thing, and no, he doesn't remember anything of it.
It's not
So yeah, you can say it doesn't matter, but then I come with my metaphor. You still took away the chance that his was given.
No, you're
Is it or not?
no
I
what
think
I'm
taking
not
away the
Dutch.
chance
what
is the
I'm
crime.
is please let me finish my thought. No, what I'm trying to get at is that what if in some way that if this baby had never been born, right, that its afterlife or pre-life or whatever you want to call it is somehow better than if it would have been existed. But I know you're gonna be like I'd rather have the chance that they have a good life. But I'm just posing a hypothetical here that what if their afterlife would have been more pleasant than their life? What if their life would have been suffering and their afterlife would have been sparing them from the suffering, right? But you don't
Yes,
know
but then
that,
I
right?
still
So
say,
then
then I
you go
still
back to
say
the
you
whole,
don't
oh,
know
you don't know
indeed,
I took
or
your $10
that,
million, so is it
yeah,
wrong?
but then, as I
We're
say,
gonna go in
you,
circles about this.
yeah, you don't know what the future will hold for that child. So to predetermine that it's better to unalive it, it is not going for me.
Right, but okay, so okay, let me rephrase this. Is oh my god, how do I rephrase this? Oh my god, let me think.
There is no way to phrase it in a way that I think I'm gonna agree with you,
so the,
I'm not
and that is
necessarily
okay
trying to
too.
like make you agree with me. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. Hold on.
Yeah, that's
Just give me a
nice.
sec. I gotta
But I have to go
process
in like
my
5 minutes
thoughts.
because I got a call that my
That's fine.
visitor standing soon for in front of the door.
That's
yeah,
But I
fine.
think it was a very constructive conversation, and I enjoyed it.
I think that ultimately this perspective can be seen as though the baby's existence was only meant to be a short. Like if there's a reason for every situation, there could be a reason as to why that baby there could ultimately have been a reason as to why that baby wasn't supposed to be alive. And
Yeah, because the mother was selfish.
no, hang on. What if what if there's a scenario where babies are unintentionally given the option to be born and there wasn't supposed to happen, and then life says, oops, sorry, that was not supposed to happen. I'm going to instill in this mother and
Okay.
the thought process of I'm going to instill in the mother the
Whoa.
thought process of the
I,
fact that she doesn't want to have this baby, and we're going to create the outcome that was actually supposed to
Hold,
happen from the get go.
no, that is
No,
way
we
too
hold on.
that
no
is
we
way
Let me
don't
too
ask a
see.
really
too.
hot take.
No.
Hold on.
You're coming from the
Hold on.
perspective as a human being. You're coming from this perspective as a human being. You don't understand the ultimate motive of life as a whole. You only assume that you understand the motive of life as a whole. You only assume that you understand afterlife. You don't understand the purpose of everything.
Alright.
You don't understand the purpose of every life. You don't understand the purpose of mothers unaliving if there's a higher reasoning outside of the reasoning of the mother. And so,
Yeah,
Okay.
might be so,
Hold on, Dutch. I have a
but
question.
it
I just
doesn't
thought of
change
something.
my morality about it.
it
Okay,
doesn't
so
need
let
to
me.
change. I'm not trying to change your morality. I'm not trying to change
Yes.
your morality. I'm saying there could be a higher reasoning behind what's happening outside of your understanding.
Now,
Okay, let me.
95% of
Hold
the
on.
statistics
Whoa,
says
No,
whoa,
no, no, no,
that
no,
it's
no, no.
hold
Forget
the
the
selfish.
statistics.
phone,
I'm
Dutch.
talking
I
about
need.
a spiritual understanding that maybe you're not even in tune with.
No,
Okay,
maybe.
hold on, Dutch. Can I ask you a question? Let me
Yeah,
bring
last
back
one,
the
and then I have to
$10 million
go.
analogy, please.
Yeah.
So you could flip that the other way, okay? Like by what, like okay, like what is wrong about taking away the chance of a baby having a life? Like I know it sounds kind of fucked up, but like the baby's not gonna know that you took that chance away. They're not gonna know that you took the $10 million away from them. In the same way that I could literally flip that argument back around.
Yeah,
The
but
the
that's the
baby
point of
has no.
morality. I think it's unfair to take it away, and you say, well, the baby doesn't know it, so it's okay. That is the morality point that I make.
It,
But
but you there's
the ultimate perspective really is whether or not the there is a higher reason above the reason of human interpretation.
And
again.
to extend it, I don't know what you're gonna do with your $10 million. So maybe you're gonna use it to start a war. Maybe you use it to help people. Oh, because we don't know what you're gonna do with your money, we can better. Yeah,
So
there is a chance that you do it for better. So
That
let's take it away by
but what if there's a
predetermined. You
higher
know.
source? What if there's a higher source that is guiding that mom to make that decision because that is the ultimate reason for the existence of that baby for
and they
whatever.
shouldn't have to make that choice to make a chance on something. Like they shouldn't have to
Now,
be forced to gamble.
I always say give it the chance, but as I
But
say, I
having a
have to
baby is
go.
gambling. Okay, let's just can we admit that?
Yes, it is
The
gambling,
option to
but
not gamble should be an option.
I rather believe that it is blessed with a life than doomed with a life.
I think it's easier to come from the perspective that you're coming from, Dutch, if you're not in a situation of a dilemma within your own life, right? So
As I said, I have parents that mentally degrade me to the bone. I'm still thankful that I'm alive, even if I have not the
yeah, but
best
I'm not
life.
talking about your parents. I'm talking about you as a parent and
Hold
as
on, I'll be right back.
not being raised in the same way as you were raised because um, people are raised differently and outcomes are different from
Yeah, that's
person
true.
to person.
But I
And
think
so
the
let's
majority
hang on.
is.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Depending on how you were raised, you could have your mental state could have become differently than it is right now. So
Yeah,
let's say that
100%
your
true.
mental state did not. Let's say hypothetically, your mental state was not where it is now, right?
I never
And
said that you are wrong. I totally agree with all what you say. But I say the majority outcome will be better and then worst
but
to
it's
rather.
but you
So I
can't.
say
But that's not
rather
proof.
give it a chance.
That's not proof.
I think so.
No, it's not.
I
It's,
have a good,
you're
I
saying
have a
think.
positive view to the world.
No, you're saying think, and you're saying you're using such gray area terms that does
Well,
not
you
come
too.
to.
Like you say, like yeah, maybe an worst outcome, maybe this, or that is definitely true. No, I think your opinion is as much worth as mine, and I say I believe in that the child is blessed with a life, and the outcome will be good. And yeah, there are scenarios that is very terrible, but I rather believe that the majority has a blessed life. So predetermined to have it not born, I don't agree with it. And you say, yeah, but maybe it has a terrible life. Yeah, maybe it does.
No, I also say that maybe it's predetermined for that child not to actually have a life.
Well, I don't believe in those predetermined things. Everything is cause and effect. The parents have some.
You're coming from a human perspective. I'm coming from the perspective of spiritual perspective. Goes way beyond our understanding of what is.
Yeah, but I don't believe in the will of God and those things. I'm
not a Christian. I'm not a Christian, but I
don't believe that things are predetermined and meant to be. Things are cause and effect. And the mother and the father had an erotic time, and that was the cause, and the effect is that she's pregnant. And by being pregnant, the other effect is getting born.
You said I believe.
This is natural.
But you said I
If
believe
you
that.
have uwu time, you get pregnant, and if you get pregnant, you bear a child, and if a child is born, you get the child get to live. And
And
if
that's based off of your perspective on not
no, that is how
understanding.
it works.
But that's based off of your perspective on whether or
No,
not
that
life.
is how it works.
No, but hang on.
Okay.
Hang on. That's your perspective on whether or not life has a higher. There's a higher reasoning behind what's happening. That's your perspective. That's not the case.
I don't believe in a higher
Yeah, that's your
purpose. I believe
perspective.
in
There you
cause
go.
and effect.
So you don't believe it,
And
but
I
that doesn't
believe
mean that
in
that's not
cause and
true.
effect.
You don't believe it, but that doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah, but I believe in cause and effect.
Guys,
You believe.
There's no.
You believe. You believe it.
Guys.
Yeah, well,
Guys. I think we're going in circles.
No, I'm
we
just
should
trying to
move on to a new
emphasize the fact
topic.
that it's still his personal opinion, regardless.
I go to the topic that my doorbell is ringing, so I hope to catch you later and we continue this.
Yeah, you sound like a Scandinavian. You don't speak Swedish or Norwegian?
No, I'm Dutch.
Okay.
I'm from Holland, from the Netherlands, Amsterdam.
I grew up in Norway, so
Okay, cool.
your accent reminds me of the Scandinavian accent.
Yeah, could be. Dutch is a little bit like, you know.
I do
I
think.
know a little bit of Swedish, like krekkebröden.
I think that like there's an energy behind this. The European. There's a European energy that I think comes across through.
It's not European, it's conservative. Conservative people believe in preserving life.
No. I'm talking about that.
Semantics.
I'm talking about your accent.
Oh, my accent. Yeah, I'm Dutch. I'm from Holland. That's
But
my accent.
what I was trying to say was that I believe that there's a European tone of a vocal tone that gets it's obvious.
A flavor is what my father told me. Like, it's a language has its own
might be so.
flavor.
There's a
that might be
there's
so.
a
For me-
European flavor of how to use tone, and the European tone. There's a continuation of that tone throughout Scandinavia and other parts of Europe.
While the Asian tone is one that's very aggressive, where it's just like, why are Asians so mad all the time? It's just like they're actually just talking about their day. I don't know why they're using that energy to convey this, and this is a problem I've been suffering from. But like, this is where I totally
I love
understand the
Belgium.
flavor of the language. Where, yeah, I don't know. I never thought to
I
think
love
it was a
Belgium.
Scandinavian accent. So
I love Belgian language. It has a kind of erotic thing to it, like a very soft. You have to search it. Belgian people, they have a really, the females have a really good accent.
I feel like I like the Swedish. I like the Swedish accent. I feel like
Okay.
the Swedish accent is something similar to what you're describing in a way for me. Yeah, but there's different different accents in Norway.
I catch you guys later, and it was an honor to talk with you all.
be well, Dad.
Have
Be
a
well.
good night, man. I'm gonna jump off too because it's 5.
Right? Yeah. Time. Thank you again, everybody.
It's here 1 in the midday, so it's early still.
I
It's
gotta go to
6:30 in the morning for me.
Let's not put metrics on this. Let's just be grateful for the time that we got to share with each other and bid each other. How do they say it? Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen. Yeah. But to you, I bid goodbye, like Mr. Candy.
Y'all have a good night, man.
You as well.
Yep.